Hi, I'm Kristie Clayton, founder and visionary of HERverse. HER is an acronym for Helping Executives Rise. Welcome to ConvHERsations with Kristie, where we dive into real, raw, and inspiring conversations with incredible leaders. You see, at HERverse, we're not just a community, we're a movement, a space where women leaders rise together, support one another, and celebrate our collective success. Whether you're leading as a second in command, steering the vision as the visionary or founder, or driving impact with your company as a leadership team member, HERverse was designed for you. Our mission is to provide resources, coaching, and peer support that you need to grow confidently in your leadership journey. Through memberships like Female Executive Mastermind and the Lead Her community, along with events like workshops and summits, and even personalized coaching, we are here to help women embrace their strengths, overcome challenges, and truly thrive. And that's what ConvHERsations with Kristie is about too. It's a space to share the golden nuggets of wisdom that come from authentic, heartfelt, real conversations. There's no scripts, there's no fluff, just honest insights from leaders who are leading boldly and making an impact. See, I believe leadership isn't something you do alone. It's a journey we navigate, and we don't have to do that alone. We can do it together, because together we rise. Now, let's get started with today's conversation. I am confident you are going to love it.
Hi, everybody. Here we are in ConvHERsations with Kristie, and we are flipping the script a little bit. My name is Kate Norton, and I have been asked to sit in the pink chair and be the interviewer of the Kristie Clayton. So here we are today. Hi, Kristie. Welcome to your own show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here with you, Kate. It definitely feels very different sitting on this side of the table.
Well, and are we usually flipped? Like, are you actually in a different spot in the studio right now?
Oh, that's so funny. Actually, this is only I believe the second time we're using the studio. So this is a brand new setting for us. I'm super excited about it.
Well, it's great. Well, I'm excited to be here, and it's fun to be on the other side because, you've interviewed me a couple times. We've done some webinars. We've had a lot of fun. And here you are today having to answer questions. And I'm like, ooh, this is going to be great. So let's just kick it off. And we don't really know where this is going to go. But as we said before we started recording, it will be what it is, which I think is the most beautiful thing. Truly authentic, truly intentional, truly just in the moment. And so that's what we hope to do today. But I guess as I was thinking about what I would want to ask Kristie, it stems from a couple different things. I'm really curious about some origin stories around HERverse, so I hope that we get there. But I think the best way to kick it off is, what does this peer community mean to you now? So let's start here in the present. So what does it mean to you now? And then maybe we'll kind of go backwards a little bit.
Oh, I love that. So what does this peer community mean to me now? It means a place of being able to be 100% authentically myself and not have to hide or worry about impressions or anything. I know I myself can show up and just be me, and I can be the professional Kristie who, shares lots of information, who gains so much information from these women, but also the silly, goofy side of me that loves to have dance parties and, loves to, just connect deeply with people. I think that's the biggest thing for me is, as HERverse, now HERverse is kind of transitioned and elevated to what it is now. It started off being something so specific, and now it is really broadened to be able to help even more women. Oh wow, I did not know that I would get emotional on the show, although I shouldn't be surprised, right? I don't think anybody will be.
No.
As I'm thinking of your question and my answer to this, though, I'm realizing that it means so much more to me than I think I even recognize, because it is allowing me to fulfill my dream, right? I realized a couple of years ago that my purpose on this planet is to create community, and most specifically for women. And this group of amazing, powerful women allows me to fulfill my purpose on this planet, and to do what I am meant to do. And I am grateful for this community and the way that it has helped me evolve as a leader, helped me, learn who I am. But most importantly, I think they're really helping me live out my dream, live out my purpose.
Love that. Well, and I think because you talk about broadening it's become a broad community. And as you were talking, I had this image of, like an inverted triangle, like really broad. But if we come down to that point of the triangle, it started with one person, with you, right? And so, maybe talk to me about what you were feeling at that point of the triangle when it was just you thinking about community.
Yeah, that's such a great question, because at the tip of that triangle, for me, it was really, there was a lot of loneliness, and also a lot of imposter syndrome. Loneliness because I really didn't have a whole bunch of other integrators that I knew. I had a very, very small network of integrators, and I knew maybe one or two implementers at that point in time. And I would watch my visionary that I was working with go off to peer groups. He was involved in a couple of different peer groups, and he would have these amazing conversations, and he would come back, and I would literally just watch him like grow exponentially every time he got back from one of these events. And I thought, man, I need that. I need to be connected to my peers. He would come back with ideas and, things that he and I had been like contemplating back and forth. Like, how do we fix this? I wish he knew what other people did. He would come back from those groups and have answers for that. Right. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I need that from an integrator standpoint, And so for me, it took all this loneliness of the weight of this business on my shoulders to creating a group of women who were all in together. And it was like, wait, like it doesn't feel as heavy any longer. And also I don't feel like I'm the only person in the world experiencing these issues, right? There are women that were in the group that would, when something was brought up, someone had gone through it before, someone was currently going through it with you, and someone was learning because they're like, you know what, I will probably experience that in the future. So the way that it's just like past, present, and future all coming together to learn, it did not feel heavy any longer. So it felt like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulders, that I don't have to run this organization by myself anymore. I'm working with the visionary inside the business. I'm working with the leadership team inside the business. But now I've got a group of people that understand me, my role, what my responsibilities are, and they're supporting me. And I will tell you, like, one of the most incredible things to me about FEM, that has now become HERverse, but when it was like the original group, and as we started to grow, we were very intentional about this. It truly felt like I had 5 women standing behind me that were cheering me on every moment. If there were hard things, they were pushing me, and they were like literally had their hands on my shoulders, on my back, and were like, "You've got this. We've got your back." And so it was just this. The peak of that triangle, or the bottom of that triangle, was such a lonely place, and it was such a heavy place.
Yeah.
And now I don't nearly feel that weight any longer. And I definitely don't feel alone. I have 150 plus people that I can reach out to now and say, "Hey, I know you've been through this, and can we talk?"
Yeah, I love that. So it came from a place really, and I agree with you. I think that the visionaries and entrepreneurial companies have got all the goods, right? They've got the Vistage and the EO and the YPO and strategic coach and all the things. And a lot of us who've been on leadership teams are like, wait, like, hello, what about us? So I love that it came from a place of your desire to grow, but also to be in community, which is what we all desire. So how have you been able to keep that intentionality of, you talked about 5 women behind you, and I had this image of them like all just like kind of being kind of behind you at that point. How have you kept that sense of, I'm going to call it like support, like that sense of support that felt so intimate? How have you kept that as you've continued to grow?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because, well, first of all, some of the women that I met at the very very beginning, we are still incredibly close. So we text each other all the time. If one of us is having an issue, it's amazing that it's like, hey, I know you've gone through this before. Can we chat on Friday? And, we'll just schedule these times to be together. But honestly, like, Kate, one of the evolutions, one of the things that keeps elevating with HERverse and with everything that we have going on is we have created small groups, right? There's a couple of different types, right? We have a round table that those women get together once a month for an hour and a half, depending on the group. And so they're able to stay really, really like connected to one another. And that's the intentionality, right? Just like an EO, Vistage, YPO, WPO, like, listen, you're right. The groups for visionaries go on and on and on. That's the intention of this. And it's the same vibe. It's the same feeling of, I have 6 to 8 women that I'm very like deeply connected to. And instead of just having surface level conversations, I can now have in-depth conversations with them, right? Instead of, hey, how's everything going, Kate? Oh, everything's fine. Life is beautiful. It can now be, hey, Kate, how are things going? Kristie, can I really be honest with you? I'm really not doing well in this area of my business. And I think I'm so in the box that I can't see the solution. And I know the solution is right in front of me. I just need, someone to think it through. Well, now I've got 8 women that I can do that with every single month. Holy cow. Like the conversations that can happen there are really, really beautiful. And so we have the roundtables, but we also have the mastermind that we've done a few of now, and I've been part of both of those groups, facilitating one of them, and then I'm actually a participant in Angie's group right now.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, it's so fun. And so again, it's 6 women in this group that are just, we're all in together, whether it's personal or professional, just our own personal and professional growth, or if it's the business, we're able to have all these conversations in one group of people who get us. These are women just like us. But we've had women in the over the 8 years that FEM's been around, now HERverse has been around, is they've talked about, struggles with their families. They've talked about, oh my gosh, I'm potentially going to get divorced. They've talked about, I'm stalled in my role. Imposter syndrome is like crazy for me right now, all the way to, hey, my business is thriving and it's doing really well. And also like, hey, my marketing team is not doing the best right now. How can I how as integrator do I step in and help them?
Yeah, I love it.
The conversations that are had in these groups span everything, which I absolutely love, because now I have one like place that I can go and truly trust these women to have like real honest conversations.
Well, I have been at some of the events that you've created, as we kind of like fast forwarded as the one conversation that you might have been having with 5 people, or the kind of that group conversation, it's exploded into the events now, right? And I've been lucky enough to be at some of those events, but when I think about it, it's those conversations that I observe that are happening at those events. Yes, there's all of the stuff that goes around the events, but it's those intimate conversations that you see at the tables, or in, just on the way to the restroom, and people are in deep conversation. So I do think that you continue to bring that just intimate, distilled conversation to even the bigger events as you've continued to broaden the community. So what I'm kind of curious about, and this is just something that, and we're flipping the script here, right? So I get to ask you anything I want.
I did open it. You can ask me any question.
I think about the word scare-sighted, right? You're kind of scared, you're kind of excited. Can you think of a moment, and it could be at any point, we're going back now 8 years, right? Since you started it?
Almost 8 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that time frame, when have you, what's a moment you can think about, like where you felt the most scarce-sighted about
Oh,
this community or what you were building?
yeah. No, that's a great question. And so at first, let me share, like, scare-sighted means that you're simultaneously scared and excited.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the beauty of scare-sighted is that those two emotions actually feel the same way, right? So
Sure.
we respond to them, but we get to intentionally choose if we're responding as scared or excited, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so one of the things that I coach my clients on a lot, Kate, is like scare-sighted could sometimes be 50-50, but sometimes it could be 30-70. Sometimes it could be 20-80. Like, you could be anywhere on that scale, but you are in control of the lever that gets to
Yeah.
choose where you're at, right? So for me, I want to say more times than not, I am 50-50 or much more on the excited side, but there are times when it's been a little scary. And if I'm being honest, I think one of the biggest scary, excited moments for me was expanding from them to HERverse. Right. I mean, that's a huge expansion. And not only, expanding our community beyond just EOS integrators to welcome all second in command leaders. But we also said, hey, we identified a gap here. Our visionaries have all kinds of things that they can go get involved in. And we've already talked a couple of times about the laundry list for them. Second in command leaders have a few things now, not nearly as many, but there are some things that are popping up for them. But there's a gap with our department leaders. Our department leaders, I mean, even you said it, like, you
Yes.
crave connection and peer community as well as a sales leader. And so how do we expand and create, space for them as well? And so that's where, we expanded HERverse to have more second in command leaders, but we also went a level down on the accountability chart, organizational chart, and are including department leaders as well. Now, they remain two separate communities because we want to keep the integrity of each group, right? That was really important to me because I really want both groups to feel like they have absolute complete freedom to ask any and all questions that they need to without looking over their shoulder, concerned that someone in the room could misinterpret what they're saying. They could look foolish, any of those things, right? Because as a department leader, I may or may not want to be in a room where I feel like their second in command's like judging me, right?
Yeah.
And not that this community does that at all, because I think we really have a beautiful opportunity and have curated a culture that we do not do that. But I wanted to make sure there was a layer there of them feeling 100% like protected, that I'm with my peers, not with my superiors, or that my direct reports are in the room. So that was a huge, like, scare-sighted moment for me. It was something that I had been talking about for probably 2 or 3 years before we finally decided to do it as a team. And that expansion and welcoming even more women into our group is just incredibly exciting to me. I believe that women are extremely powerful leaders, and the more voices we have in the room to elevate us as leaders, it feels incredibly powerful and incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you know, when did you know you were onto something here? When did you know, was it that first 8 years ago? Was it, do you have a sense of this moment of you're like, oh, this is going to be something?
Yeah, it was actually at the second Nashville conference when, so we were about 5 years in, and I knew and watching the women that it was powerful. Listen, it is not me, it is them, right? I mean, it's everyone coming together. They make it powerful. But it was the moment that Danielle Gaines walked up to me and she said, I told this story to someone and they really wanted me to share it with you. And honor, empower, inspire means a lot to me. And she said, at the at the previous summit, I had been talking about affirmation statements and how important it is to tell yourself who you are and speak boldly of all of those things. And so every morning she was saying her affirmations, not realizing that her daughter was overhearing her. And her daughter, it was her daughter's birthday, and her daughter's grandmother called and said, happy birthday, and kind of, just said, she said, how are you? And she started repeating affirmations. And she was like, it was at that moment that I realized that my actions are actually inspiring. And my daughter, who I didn't even realize she was, reflecting on those same moments as I was, she was able to pick up on it. And so the idea, of honor, empower, inspire really has been honoring my grandmother, who meant so much to me and was such a foundational piece of my life, but empowering the women that are here and now and doing it together. And then inspire for me really is, thinking about that future generation that's behind us, whether they're, 18 right now, or they're, 2, they are watching us, whether we realize it or not. And so, hearing that story, that 3 generations of women were having a conversation, and her daughter was repeating things back and learning from her in that way, that's when I realized this is well beyond what we can even imagine today. And then just spending time in prayer, spending time in clarity breaks, really thinking through what is it that we're doing today and what are we doing in the future? That has been the inspirational moment for me for the last several years of how do we make a bigger impact? How do we bring women together and let them have a whole human experience that is real and vulnerable, that we can celebrate all of the wins and be so incredibly excited for each other that we don't have to tear each other down or climb on top of each other to get to the top of the ladder. No, friend, we don't have to do that. All boats rise with the tide. And when one of us win, we all win. So celebrating those moments, but then also, being able to share the struggles and share the heartaches and share the challenges that are happening, so that we also don't have to be a fake Facebook profile, right? But I can actually share my real life with you. That's when I realized this is so much bigger. And then I get to develop as a leader on top of it. I'm like, oh yeah, we'll just throw everything.
Well, thank you for having the courage to honor women, because without the courage to honor women and what women mean to each other, you have created a space where we also get to empower and inspire each other and future generations. So thank you for giving us your own honor, empower, inspire statement. I really appreciate that, because that's something that you do with all your guests, and now we've gotten to hear it from you. And I would just say, is there anything else that you want to share with this community, being on the other side of the seat here? We've loved this all, but is there any last things that you want to share with this community?
Oh, wow. I think the biggest thing is, first of all, thank you for letting me be part of it, right? And trusting me and seeing the vision with me and being all in with me. That means the absolute world to me. But really, truly, I'm just so incredibly inspired and motivated and encouraged by this group, that what you see today is going to continue growing. We're going to have more women that are involved in it. And I can just imagine that the future is so incredibly bright that we can't even see it just yet. Although there are some big plans that are coming, so I'm excited about them.
Great. Well, thanks, Kristie, for just having the vulnerability to sit in this seat. And we love it. I hope this is not the last time we do it.
Absolutely not. All right. Thanks, friend. I appreciate you interviewing me.
Thank you.